Good morning, children. In the revision class, we have started to study the second chapter, that is latitudes and longitudes. In this chapter, till now, we have discussed about the various concepts like axis, equator, globe, as well as parallels of latitude. And in the last period, at the end of the last period, we have also understood the important parallels of latitude. We have seen that there are four important parallels of latitude, like Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic Circle, Antarctic Circle, like this. And we have started to discuss about the heat zones of the earth. So today we are going to see the heat zones of the earth. So what is actually heat zone? There are almost three heat zones of the earth in both the hemispheres, in the northern hemisphere and in the southern hemisphere. So as you can see here in this uh, picture, in this image, in this figure, you can see in both the sides, from the 0 degree equator to north and 0 degree equator to south, both the side you will see there are three different zones, like torrid zone, then like torrid zone, then temperate zone, and at last there is frigid zone. In the same way, in the southern part also there is torrid zone in the south, and then southern temperate zone and frigid zone. In this way there are three different heat zones are there. Now we are going to see how these three heat zones are decided. So the midday sun is exactly overhead at least once a year on all latitudes in between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. This area therefore receives the maximum heat and is called the torrid zone. For understanding it betterly, now we are coming again on the same picture. As you can see here, the Tropic of Cancer is there and Tropic of Capricorn. In between, whatever the latitudes are there on the earth, or whatever the part of the earth is there in between 23 degree and half north, 23 and a half degrees south, in between this region, in on all the latitudes, the sun rays are falling directly or straight, and due to this reason, this torrid zone, or this zone between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, receives highest amount of the temperature, and therefore this region is called as the torrid zone. The day, as you can see here in the figure 2.4, can you see here in this picture, one paper is shown and one torch is shown. So this paper is hold straightly, and therefore all the light of the torch is falling onto the paper straightly and directly, and less area is covered by the torch, and therefore most of the energy or most of the heat of the torch is falling on the paper straightly. The same thing is happening in the in this part of the earth, that is called torrid zone. That means here the direct sun rays are falling on all the latitudes, right from 23 and half degree north to 23 and half degrees south, and therefore this region is called region is called as the tropic the torrid zone. Now we are going to see the another zone. The midday sun never shines overhead on any latitude beyond the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. The angle of the sun's rays goes on decreasing towards the poles. As such, the areas bounded by the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere and the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle in the southern hemisphere have moderate temperature These are therefore called temperate zones. Again, we are coming back on the same picture. So here you can see beyond the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, none of the latitude right from 23.5 degree north to 66.5 degree north, in the same way in the southern hemisphere 23.5 degree south to 66.5 degree south. In between these regions, from Tropic of Cancer to Arctic Circle and Tropic of Capricorn to Antarctic Circle, the sun rays are never falling throughout the year, never falling directly or straight, and therefore the amount of the temperature received through this region is also less, and therefore these both the regions in both the hemisphere are called as the temperate zones, because these regions receive moderate temperature. Now, as you can see here, the torchlight falling on slanted surface is less bright but covers a bigger area. The same thing is happening in the temperate zone also. Again, we are going to see the next zone, that is frigid zone. It is the region of receiving the very less amount of the temperature of the sun. Let's try to understand it. Areas lying between the Arctic Circle and the North Pole in the northern hemisphere, and the Antarctic Circle and the southern pole in the southern hemisphere are very cold. It is because here the sun does not rise much above the horizon. Therefore, its rays are always slanting and provides less heat. These are therefore called frigid zone and or very cold zone. So as you can see here, in the northern hemisphere from Arctic Circle to North Pole, from Arctic Circle to North Pole, in the same way in the southern region from Antarctic Circle to Frigid Zone. In both these zones, right from 66.5 degrees south to 90 degrees South Pole, and 66.5 degree north to North Pole 90 degree, in between regions these two regions are called as the frigid zone. Why? Because amount of the sun rays or the temperature of the sun received through this region is very less. What is the reason behind it? The same example of the torch we are going to see again. So what we can understand through this? See, as the paper is the paper is held in a tilted way over here. So you can see the light of the torch we will consider as the sun rays. So as you can see, if the paper is held in tilted manner, so what will happen? The more area will be covered by the paper and less amount of the sun rays will be spread on the different parts of this paper, and therefore the amount of the temperature received by the different part of this paper where the sun ray the torch light is falling will be less. The same thing is happening in the in regarding the sun rays and the earth's land also, and therefore the very southern and northern part of the world that are called as the Arctic Circle to North Pole and Antarctic Circle to South Pole. In this region, the amount of the the amount of the temperature received is very less, and the areas are very cold, frigid cold we can say, and therefore both these regions from 66.5 degree north as well as south to 90 degree north and south is called as the frigid zone. In this way, the frigid zones are there, or in this way there are three different heat zones. Now next point we are going to understand is what are longitudes. So what are longitudes? First of all, you see this figure? It is like a globe. All the vertical lines running from the North Pole to South Pole, all the vertical lines running from the North Pole to South Pole are called as the vertical lines. Sorry, the longitudes. These are also the imaginary lines. The longitudes are also the imaginary lines. We have seen the latitudes. How many latitudes were there? Can you remember? There were 180 latitudes, but the longitudes are almost, not almost, only the longitudes are 360 in numbers. So the latitudes are 180 and the longitudes are 360. So why do we need the longitudes on the globe? That we are going to understand here. So to fix the position of a place, it is necessary to know something more than the latitude of that place. You can see, for example, that Tonga Islands in the Pacific Ocean and the Mauritius Islands in Indian Ocean are situated on the same latitude, 20 degrees south. Now, in order to locate them precisely, we must find out how far east or west these places are from a given line or reference running from the North Pole to South Pole. These lines of references are called the meridians of longitude. So, as you know, as you can see, we have seen that we require the latitudes for locating any place on the globe. But the latitudes are not enough. For locating any place precisely on exact place where it is, we require one another thing that is called as the longitudes. And all these vertical lines are called as the longitudes. You know very well, one horizontal line that is parallel of latitude is running throughout the globe, and you know very well different places are located on the same line. So when we want to locate any particular place, that time we require something more than the latitude, and then we require longitude. So and therefore here it is said that you can see, for example, the Tonga Island in the Pacific Ocean and Mauritius Island in the Indian Ocean. Both are situated on the or located on the 20 degrees south on this latitude. But can we say both these places, as they are on the same latitude, so they are at the same place? Obviously not. One is in the Pacific Ocean and one is in the Indian Ocean. So now in order to locate them precisely, we must find how far और कितना दूर ये ईस्ट या वेस्ट में लोकेटेड है फ्रॉम अ गिवन लाइन ऑफ रेफरेंस running from North Pole to South Pole. That means longitude. These lines of references are called the meridians of longitude. All the longitudes or all the vertical lines on the globe are called as the meridians of longitude, and all these lines are also imaginary lines. Now these lines of references are called the meridians of longitude, and the distances between them are measured in degrees or degrees of longitude. In the same way as the parallel of latitudes are counted in degrees, these also, the longitudes are also counted in the degrees of longitude. So each degree is further divided into minutes and minutes into seconds, and they are semicircles, and the distance between them decreases steadily polewards until it becomes zero at the poles where all meridians meet. Now, to understand that what is minute, what is degree, or how the degrees are further divided into minutes and seconds, and how the longitudes are semicircles, about all these things we are going to understand in the next period. Till then, we will do the we will clear all your doubts, because I know very well this chapter is very conceptual, and it therefore requires more concentration as well as more interest to study it. So in the next period we will do the another part. Till then, we will do the question and answers. Thank you very much.